It's us. We're back. It's Elim Church. We're online. We're on Buzzsprout. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. And sometimes my head's all over the place with all the stuff that's going on. But you can find us in the world of podcasting. Continue to listen. We thank you so much for sharing everything that we do here. Have a beautiful day, you lovely people, wherever you are today. Keep safe, keep pressing, but keep listening. Bye-bye. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you join us, myself, Reverend Ben Cooper, and Reverend Brian Greenaway has come in to share some good news about Israel from Maoz, Israel. We have the report in front of me. I have the usual, is it monthly, Brian? Yep, quarterly? Monthly report that we have, and Brian's come all the way in to share some stuff with us today. You may have captured the stuff before. I think you probably have. And wherever you are across the world today, we thank you so much for joining us. It is a bit gloomy here within the UK. It is Thursday, the 16th of February, and it is 3:42. And we thank you so much for the thousands of downloads across the earth and everybody that is jumping on Twitter at this moment. Good afternoon to you, wherever you are, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Brian, it is so good to see you, and we thank you so much for coming and giving us another update. You know, we've been trying to gather for the last number of months. We had a bit of a steady push together, but I had some training that I had to cancel at the last minute. So all this stuff that we record here, it's just live, it's unedited, it's just real, it's just straight out of the barrel of truth. There's no messing about. You know, we are real people living real lives, living for a real king, and his name is Jesus. Brian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ben. It's good to be with you again.
It's great to have you here, my friend. And what have we got from our sunny lands?
Okay, Israel. Lots of turmoil in Israel at the moment, politically, economically. Well, everybody's suffering economic turmoil across the world, but politically, there's lots to talk about what's happening following the election last year, and also the external threat of Iran and all of its agencies in the area as well.
Poor little Israel.
I know.
It's a tiny little button, isn't it? It's a tiny, and it just small. Fights on, it survives on, it walks on. The only reason I know it survives is because I know the end of the story,
that's right, yeah.
Basically. But it's just surviving. It's just amazing to see what's happening. The issues it goes through, the trouble it goes through, the political press. There's a big, heavy issue out there at the moment, politically. And what else is happening? We was talking about some tectonic plates just before we pressed the buttons, and that was really interesting. I know we're skipping over a bit here, but it was quite an interesting conversation. Now, we're talking about the end of time now, aren't we? The Lord's return. So no one knows the hour, no one knows the day, but the focus for any believer, correct me if this is wrong, we keep our eyes on Israel, don't we? I know Hebrews 12 verse 2. Keep your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. But also we use Israel as a clock ticking.
Yeah.
Is that a way okay to look at that? We look at Israel, the signs of the times.
That's right. It's important. You know, there are three. I think it was David Paulson, wasn't it, who said three things to look at, wasn't it? It's looking at the church.
Yes.
Looking at Israel. And looking at the world trends, I think I've got that right. But right. It's one of the elements, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one of the elements of what God is doing. God's prophetic time clock.
Yes. So we was talking about the earthquakes. We were talking about wars, rumours of wars. We see very clearly around the globe, the beast system being formed, things being in front of our very eyes. We've got the management system that live at number 10 Downing Street within England that are almost taking us to war on many levels. There are lots of families, lots of lives in the UK that are really hungry, that are looking for help. There is a lot of things happening in England at this moment. There's a lot of things happening fast, quick, changing of the guard. Scotland yesterday, Nicola Sturgeon just dropped off the peg, well, not literally that terminology, but just left her role in the job. So we have lots of things happening. The government is very shaky here in the UK. Could we almost be seeing the beast system really before our very eyes, with Israel in the forefront of the attack of Israel, the political agenda, and then we was talking about earthquakes, and then that takes us on to what you was talking about. Now, carry on what we was talking about, Brian, because it's really interesting, about the plates, the gates of hell. That was really interesting.
Yeah, sure. So it's tragic, like you say, about the earthquakes in recent weeks in Turkey and Syria. Over 40,000 people have lost their lives now. But talking strategically, give some background now. Listeners will be aware of the words of Jesus when he took his disciples north. Did not go into the north, into an area that's called Maoz now in Israel, right in the north. And in his time, and even still now, it's known as Caesarea Philippi. Okay, that's the name. And one time he took his disciples to this area. Now, it would have been a funny place for Jewish people to go, because Maoz is called that because it should be Paneas, but there's no P in the local language, so it ended up with a B, but it's because it was where the temple of Pan was. Okay, so a false god. And this place, and if you go there today, it's an archaeological site today. Nobody lives there, but it is the remains of the temple of Pan. And in the times of Jesus and before that, it was a pagan temple. Awful things happening there. And there is, if you can imagine a rock face, and then there's a small, well, it's a pond really now, it's not even a lake, and there's water there which goes down into a cave. And of course archaeologists now said it was just a cave with water coming out. Fine, it's a spring,
just a cave.
But in the days of Jesus, those who believed in pagan religions said that this was a gateway to hell. That's what they said, that you go down into the grave and travel down there in the underworld, all this stuff. That's what they believed, those who worshipped the god of Pan and other false gods as well. So Jesus took his disciples to this place. And you think, what is a good Jewish boy doing there? They must have thought, Jesus, why are we here? This place is idolatry, it's evil, it's everything that we don't like. But he stood in front of this, with his back, if you like, to this temple of Pan and everything, and this gate of hell. And I think listeners might realise what scripture I'm going to talk about now, because he said, I will build my church, my ecclesia, my called out ones. I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So immediately his disciples thought, well, that's the gate of hell. So for us today, firstly, we look at that scripture and we say, it's one thing. It's Jesus' church. It's not ours.
Amen. Yes.
No one owns it but him. He's going to build his church.
We love that. Okay?
We are faithful to his church. We're faithful in serving, but we don't build the church. He does. So that's an important lesson, first of all. So there's different levels here, aren't there?
Very.
So then he's at the backdrop is all these evil pagan religions, as Jesus is saying, don't worry about that, because I'm building my church. And the gates of hell, the representative of all these world religions, are not going to prevail against my church. So we can take assurance. But there's an interesting geographical a geographical point about this, is that at that time nobody knew this because we didn't have plate tectonic scientists. And of course plate tectonics, as listeners will know, create earthquakes because the plates rub against each other miles under the ground, and they cause earthquakes. But where Jesus was standing at Caesarea Philippi, or Maoz, there are three plates: the Anatolian plate, the African plate, and the Eurasian plate. I got that right, yes. The people contacting us, you got that wrong. But the actual full name of the third one. But there are three large tectonic plates, and one has the whole of Africa sitting on it. The Anatolian one. Now people may not realise what Anatolian, but it was called Anatolia. Turkey was called Anatolia in the time of Jesus. So that plate, these three plates meet together at that place. So when Jesus said that, when he said about the gates of hell shall not prevail, and that whole world view of that, he was standing very near where the three plates meet. One runs around where the Dead Sea is, the Jordan Valley, and they meet at this place. So, only God knew at that time that three plates met in that place. So there's more than just the spiritual aspects. There's the geographical, geopolitical, economic aspect of where he was standing, where he said that.
It's really interesting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, that sort of background.
Really powerful, interesting. The ground is shaking, and not only is the ground shaking, but almost it feels like the air is shaking at the moment. The tectonic plates of life, I think, have shifted across every level of culture. The plates are rubbing quite strong in religion within the UK. There has been an earthquake almost, isn't there, within the church? The church looks like it's going to rupture in a few places. So these earthquakes that are happening, and what you was talking about there, I think that we can look at it firstly, as in the practical we are seeing, and Turkey and Syria and terrible things that have happened there, but also there is a spiritual, almost a shaking, isn't there? A shaking, I believe God is shaking the globe, and I wonder when he's coming back, because all the events that are happening, Israel focused, looking at the ministry that you're involved in, the attacks on Israel, the political areas, the earthquakes suddenly out of nowhere, wars, rumours of wars, desolation, the 10 horns, are we at that sort of area where the 10 nations are coming together, everything, our eyes are looking all over the place, we're trying to think. The church in the UK is like being shaken all over the place. Finances, political agendas. We are certainly, as the scripture says, at the last hour.
And I think we're going to see, because we talk about miracles, don't we? And we believe that God does miracles. But, the most incredible miracles really in world history, but really at the time of the Exodus, weren't they? If you think about what experience Israel had, the whole coming out, the 10 plagues, 12 miracles in total, leaving, being guided by a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire, the Red Sea parting, the provision in the wilderness, the manna, the quail, the clothes never wearing out. And all these things that happened, they were the most incredible miracles. We'd never seen anything like it. These nature miracles, weren't they, really? Yeah. And I think we're going to increasingly see more things like that happening. And,
I completely agree with you.
When we read about the end times and this massive world army, there's maybe one world army that comes against Israel, and it says about them being destroyed, doesn't it? And then it takes weeks, months for them to find all the bodies and mark them, and birds of the air would feed off them. I mean, it's a grisly picture.
It is a gruesome picture.
And I always think to myself, how's that going to happen, Lord? How's you going to destroy this army? Is it going to be like an angel? But if we see, and it's tragic, the earthquake. And it was the same sort of area where this army will come from the north. Can you imagine if a large army was to gather to attack and destroy Israel, and there was an earthquake like that? It would destroy them.
It would destroy them.
So you can see where. I know that people sometimes in the world say, "Oh, it's nothing to do with God. It was just an earthquake." I'm not saying God did the earthquake the other week, but I'm saying, when this army comes against Israel, there are natural ways that army can be destroyed.
Well, you're saying the natural way, the Red Sea. Yeah. It's very, very obvious, isn't it? Pharaoh, they lost everything. Yeah. They went into that, and that was natural. God used nature, and there's every possibility that we could see this happening clearly. Yeah, yeah. So when we say, when the scripture says we're in the last hour, how is it in Israel financially? Are they feeling the pinch like we are? Have they got issues financially? Are they broke? Are they progressing? Is it always the same?
Yeah, I mean, Israel's finances are always under pressure because they have such a large defence budget, because they have to have one to defend themselves. Obviously, been under threat since 1948. So they do get foreign aid, of course. The United States help them quite a bit.
We don't, do we? We've
got defence contracts, but we don't sort of give grants like
there's not grants. So we got no financial input whatsoever.
Only in trade.
Only in trade.
Trade in technology, agriculture, and some defence things as well. So it's a trade, that they help us, we help them, as you would a trade at any level. So that would be our commitment to Israel, which is good. It's good to be connected with them. But things are the same as anywhere in the world. Things are getting more expensive. Things already are expensive in Israel. We was there last November. And I always tell people, if you're going to Israel, it's 40% more. Cost of living is 40% higher.
40% more?
Yeah, so everything is higher. If you want to buy a car, if you want to rent an apartment, if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy food, you go in the supermarket, you think, well, this is the local supermarket, and it's more expensive.
And you could feel it.
Yeah, it is. It's pressure. Yeah, it's that sort of pressure on them all the time, and always trying to balance the budget as any other country in the world. But because no economy is in isolation now, is it?
No.
Everybody's spending on the International Monetary Fund, the World Banks, and stuff like this. They're the ones who are pulling the strings. So, what about wages and the cost of labour and that? Is that higher than here? Are the wages more bit more affluent? Is it to cope with the increase? So. Yeah, they are. Yeah, it is, because everybody realises people need to be paid a bit more. But as in any society, there are some that don't really earn enough,
sure.
Need to earn more. As in British society, it's the same in Israeli society, the same sort of parallels there. And of course, they're very, very dependent on the tourist trade, which has been missing for the last couple of years. 4.5 million tourists. They were
through the old.
They are hoping that they can increase it to 10 million over the next few years.
All squeezed in.
Yeah, I know, because there's less than 9 million in the population.
Where are they going to go?
There's lots of desert space in Israel.
When they get off the plane.
But they keep building hotels, and more hotels being built. And
so it's always increasing. The economy is not too bad, a little bit shaky like everywhere around the world.
Like anywhere else,
Right, an unusual question for Israel.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so over here we have Trussell Trust, we have food banks, we have one here. We have churches that are opening their doors to feed people. What is the situation in Israel regarding is there anything like a food bank? Are there places where people can go, or is it literally you are out on a limb?
Right, well, they don't have a welfare state like we do.
Yeah.
And so that was very difficult during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, you say about churches and those who follow Jesus, it's a much smaller body. It's 30,000 people, and many of those are in the lower income bracket as well.
Wow.
But there are a number of bright stars in that, because there are congregations in Israel who do have food and clothing banks, and a lot of them have become involved recently in helping refugees. So refugees from Ukraine and Russia. In fact, there are more refugees from Russia than there are from Ukraine.
From Russia?
Well, mainly because people don't want to serve in the army. That's right, yeah.
I'm not going to war.
Where am I going to go? How do I get away from here? Russia, there's an organisation called the Jewish Agency.
Yeah.
And they help Jewish people all over the world if they want to return to Israel. Now, Russia closed down the Jewish Agency in Russia.
Sounds about right.
They didn't want people to leave. But there are Christian organisations that are helping Jewish people to come to Israel. And also Messianic Jewish organisations as well. So, to give you an idea, there's a congregation called Beit Hillel in the south of Israel and Ashdod. They have had a food bank, clothing bank for many years. I've been to see it there, helping believers and anybody. In fact, if you go to Ashdod in the south, where there's one congregation,
congregation.
Let's get this right: 450 synagogues, or is it 250? Hundreds of synagogues, who all hate them.
Literally,
hundreds and hundreds of
synagogues everywhere,
and they hate the one group of believers that meet there.
One group of believers.
Ever. So if you're in need in Ashdod and you go to the local council and you say, I need clothes, I need food, they would direct you to this congregation with one hand, and with the other hand they're trying to shut it down all the time because they hate them because they're believers. It's funny.
So it's like, it sounds
situation.
So unusual that you've got all these different synagogues and these religious organisations popping up, these synagogues, well, not popping up, but they've been there forever. And then you've got is it a small congregation?
No, it's one of the largest in Israel. It's one of the largest.
Really?
There's a lot of Russian-speaking believers there, but I say one of the largest. It's a couple of hundred. That is very large for Israel.
That is very large.
It's large, compared with a lot of the others.
And they're like coming under the hammer.
Yeah. And then with Maoz, we are helping refugees with grants and finances. We also have a children's home in Kiev where we helped financially. So we have a clothing bank there. People can come in and get clothes. There's a changing room and a shower and everything. So we are sending funds to help support this project in Ukraine as well.
Powerful stuff.
It's a big link,
And you said about wood-burning stoves last time, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right,
Did they get delivered? Did it work? Did it come through?
It's happening now.
It's happening now. Tell us the story.
Well, Russia, of course, have been targeting the infrastructure. So
they wouldn't do a thing like that, would they?
Hitting electricity power stations, trying to knock
it all
the services out. So we have a project where you can purchase a wood-burning stove for £160.
Excellent.
And so it heats, I think, a very large 100 square metres or something. It's a well-made thing. Yeah. You can cook on top of it and inside it as well. And, of course, it's wood-burning. So we've been, through one of our projects, we've been able to pay for those, and our supporters and churches have been sending us money to buy these stoves. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a team that went from Israel, went into the west of Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's right. No, the east of Ukraine. They moved to the east, so past Kyiv and further east. Some of them were originally from Ukraine, but they still needed an armed escort all the time to protect them from being attacked. So they had a military escort all the time they were there, and they visited children's homes, they visited families, taking money and support, and also these stoves are being delivered as well. So it's a privilege to do a little something to help families.
That's fantastic.
What's happening, lots of people are doing lots of good things.
And how can people donate and sow into the wood burning stove project.
Oh yeah, that's quite easy. Maozisrael.uk is our website,
and straight on.
Yeah, you can give gifts through there, through PayPal, or send us a check or anything. And
amazing stuff.
£160 to buy a stove, and
that's quite
family.
Sensible money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you want to buy one over here, you're paying a good few £100 easy without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, these are quite simple ones, but they do the job.
But it does the job
locally.
It does the job. And how did this come around? Do you know how the foundation of that came around? How that popped up?
Yeah, well, in Israel, there are a lot of Russian-speaking Jewish people. Many from Ukraine, many from Russia. So the congregation in particular that we're working with had quite a few Ukrainians in it. They were originally Ukrainians. They've moved to Israel. They're now Israeli citizens, but they've still got lots of family connections and friends, friends on Facebook and everything.
Sure.
So they're on the ground, very much on the ground there. And they've sent several teams. They had a project on the Moldovan border, also some work in Hungary. So really it's good because you've got connections in the land, churches, believers, and normally in the land who they know. And so they know exactly what they want, exactly where they want it. So it's ideal. So these Russian-speaking, Ukrainian-speaking guys have been able to go to Ukraine and really help people.
Absolutely amazing. What a practical, sensible, helping humanity, warming up a family, warming up a home, helping them to cook, helping them to sustain themselves and just take care of themselves. Absolutely amazing project what's going on there. So what else is happening regarding the political area? We have to laugh. What is going on?
Well, it's always Israel. As I've said before, it's never that stable. People are talking about a civil war.
Okay.
That's been in the press. Some people may have seen that about Israel because there is sharp division since the last election, which actually gave us the most stable government for a long time, a government with a majority of 57, and 51 is the majority. And that is the most secure government in a sense that we've had for many, many years. We've had 3 or 4 elections in the last couple of years. So good. It gave us a stability. However, it meant that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, who we thought we'd never see back again, has come back with a government that is very religious. So the parties that are in his coalition are ultra-Orthodox, Haredi Jewish people. Some are very strong nationalists, with a very strong idea about Israel. Some have been accused of being prejudiced against Arab people.
Goodness.
There is maybe some evidence of that, or at least people within their party are. But that's, people can look at that themselves. That's just what people have said. The other thing is that, having this sort of very strong religious parties, they have ideas of how the country should be run. And also, some of them have been in prison. Just on saying what has happened, some of them have been charged with crimes and are now running offices, public offices. Well, people can be reformed, so I'm not saying they're criminals. But what we've got now is a battle, and I heard someone describe this, it wasn't my idea, but it's right, it's a battle between democracy and Judaism.
Oh, okay.
Because at its core, if you think about, Judaism now is different from the times of like David, but one of the common denominators is that under David, King David, of course, and subsequent kings, it was a theocracy. It was a religious government. It wasn't a democracy, a theocracy. So God in charge, supposedly. I know it often works out, it's just religious people in charge, and that's really what they're looking for. So there's always going to be this friction between Judaism, as they see it, which is theocratical, and democracy. They are incompatible with each other.
Can't go together.
Yeah, so within a nation, you've now got a government which is pushing a theocratic rule compared with most people who want democracy.
Yeah.
And so that is where the division is. So, in Israel today, everything shuts down on Shabbat, the Sabbath, Friday night to Saturday night. And, that's quite nice.
Yes.
To have a day's rest is great. But Jesus was very clear that this day of rest was not supposed to be a religious exercise or a rule, a set of rules. He said, like healing on the Sabbath, or you shouldn't heal on the Sabbath. What's that about? There's no grace, there's no mercy in that. So a Sabbath is supposed to be a day of rest, not a day of religion. So, many quarters of Orthodox Judaism have made it, this is the rules, this is how you do Sabbath. It's that. So they impose that upon the nation.
Yeah.
And so many of the things they believe, like, for example, the definition of who is a Jewish person is coming up as well.
Really?
Who is a Jewish person? Now, my father is Jewish. My mother isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, now, all through the Bible, we see the father passes on the Judaism. Now,
yes.
in the late 1800s, rabbinical Judaism made a rule that it's only through the mother because of the abuse of Jewish women during the pogroms. You can understand. They want to protect the children.
Yes.
This has now become a law. You must have a Jewish mother to be Jewish, which isn't true. It's not biblical in the sense.
Not biblical.
That's right, in the sense of the Bible. And so, what we can see with the religious parties is they want to define who's Jewish, and we can see that will be ultra orthodox observance.
Real strong.
We can see them as going down and saying, because you're not religiously observant, which is 50% of Jewish people don't believe in God in Israel. So you can see them trying to bring things, saying, well, you're not Jewish, you don't go to synagogue. You're not Jewish because you don't adhere to the rabbinical teachings.
Goodness.
Getting narrower and narrower, and people don't, what right have they? It's the Bible that says who is who, is it? Not them.
That's correct, yeah.
So that's causing one.
So there's quite a bit of a division.
That's the division. And then politically, they have 2 new laws they want to bring in. So at the moment, the judiciary system in Israel is quite strong. The Supreme Court judges appoint from within themselves. They choose who will be successive Supreme Court judges. Now, the government
has said... So it's in-house. It's a closed...
Yeah. It's not voted on by the general public or the government don't appoint them. Unlike in America. So in America...
Yeah.
As we know, it's always controversial.
Always.
When a Supreme Court judge dies, whoever's in gets the... So when Trump was in, he appointed conservative judges.
Yeah.
If one was to die under Biden, they would appoint one was probably more liberal. But that's their system, and it means the government has a role in appointing Supreme Court judges, which is a good thing. Because after all, the government have been voted in, so shouldn't they say who runs the judicial system, not the judicial system telling them this is a closed shop. So they want to change that and have more government influence in the appointment of Supreme Court judges. We can see that makes sense. We can see that does. The second part of this law is that they want to, at the moment, if the government brings in a law and someone from the Supreme Court system sits on the cabinet, effectively the cabinet, they can strike down that law. They can say, we don't like that. We're not having that law.
It's gone.
Now the government has said, we don't like that. We make the law. We're the ones who are voted in, not you. So they want to change it so that when the government bring in a new law, if the Supreme Court try to veto it, they need, as long as they have a 51% in the vote in favour in the Israeli parliament, they will be able to ignore the Supreme Court.
Oh, wow.
Now, which could mean that anything that the government does cannot be challenged in courts of law. Now, you should be able to do that.
You should be able to do that.
So what they're pushing is shouldn't it be a 75% vote? Then it's more democratic because the other parties have to agree with the laws you're making. So that is what is dangerous, is that they could, like, for example, bring in a law that says that's very anti-Messianic Judaism. They could say there can't have any more Messianic fellowships in Israel, and you've got to close down. And then the courts will try to protect them, and the government will have a vote. And of course, because they've got 56 seats, they will vote it in.
Done.
They could bring some really dangerous laws in that would restrict personal freedom and make the country theocratic in a bad way.
Wow. So they've really got a lot of issues going on. There's a lot on the table.
Sorry, listeners might try and follow that. I tried to make it as simple as I can.
Brian, it's really interesting listening to it because it all has biblical understandings and it's all biblical what's going on. We can see what is going on very, very clearly through everything that you're telling us. Now, can anyone, not changing the subject, but just coming, regarding your newsletter, how do we go about getting one of these? Because it's full of info.
Sure. Well, you can go to our website, which is Maoz Israel, MAOZ.
Yes.
ISRAEL, Israel.UK. That's our website. You'll see the latest report on there. And you can contact us. There's a contact page. You can sign up for the report. And we can send it free of charge by email or post. Yeah, very, very simple. And funding and prayer and everything like that. We can support you funding, aid, and you've got outreach worship on the back. I've been watching this grow. Your worship, the worship. Wonderful. Tell us a little bit more about how that come around, and you got the studios done, and it's moving forward.
and it's producing music now.
That's right, yeah, it is, yeah. So
it looks like it's doing very well.
It is. So we have we work with Integrity Music. Some listeners may have heard of them. And so we're releasing one new song every month. So the ones just for February has just come out about a week or so ago. Some new songs in Hebrew, of course, because we Kobe and Shani are our international directors in Israel.
Yeah.
And since they've taken on the mantle of leading, they have believed that God is, and we do as well, that they are raising up the Levitical priesthood in Israel.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So we want to do all we can to help develop worship artists, musicians, young children. We always have at least 60 children on our books, supporting them in lessons, buying them instruments, because a worship sound needs to come from Israel. It started with Israel. David was a worship leader.
Definitely.
And everything we know really about worship started with him.
Yes.
Because if you think about the temple worship, so you had the tabernacle, then you had the temple, and the roles of the priests, and the roles of the Levites, and they had a different role set out, which you can read in the Law of Moses, the sacrifices, the daily sacrifices, the burning of incense. But actually, David kicked off the worship team, really, didn't he? David was in the worship team.
The birth, yeah.
So he was the king, but and he wasn't the high priest. There was that role there and everything, but he was a worshipper, and so he started the fellowship of artists. Really,
that's
what
right.
we're talking about. He said, "Right, guys, let's worship." And people ridiculed him. His wife ridiculed him for worshiping, but he said, "I'm going to be even more undignified than this. I'm just going to worship God,
dance before the Lord."
So he wrote psalms. Others wrote psalms. He organised the temple worship and everything. So he really developed worship, and of course, the kingdom grew, didn't it, under David?
Under David, yeah,
it grew. It was healthy. Economically, militarily, spiritually, it was healthy. And so we are just saying, hey, we need to restore this. It's nothing special about us. Of course it's not. But we recognise that we need to encourage others.
It's recognising the worship, isn't it?
It is.
And that straight away, I'm just trying to think, where is it? 1 Chronicles chapter 19 about the king. What was his name? Where he had the message come over, and they said there's 3 of your enemies coming over.
Jehoshaphat, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it, Jehoshaphat. The story of Jehoshaphat. That's amazing.
Where the worshippers will go first.
And at the end of the story, isn't it?
At the head of an army.
Don't send the army. God said, send the worshippers.
That's right, yeah.
And it caused confusion. The enemy confused itself, turned in on itself, killed itself. Yeah. So there is something in the power of worship.
Oh yeah.
So that King Jehoshaphat, he the Bible says that he fell flat down on the floor. He couldn't. He says they are big. They're going to destroy us. But through fasting and prayer, seeking God, and God says, just send out the worshippers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we realise that if there's going to be wherever there's been a significant revival, people look through revival history. Worship has been part of that. And prayer is a key part, but worship, isn't it?
Yeah.
And every revival has its own sound. It really does. If you're looking at what's happening in Asbury at the moment.
Yeah, in Asbury.
That's worship, isn't it?
Kentucky, isn't it?
Started praying 11 o'clock in the morning, and they've been worshipping ever since.
They've just been moving through it.
So every revival has its own sound.
Yeah.
And, you can't make revival happen, but you can certainly prepare your heart for it.
And that's what it's about, isn't
worship is that part.
Coming to God with an open heart, saying, wash me and cleanse me in the area of repentance, coming to God, worship him in your own way. And as you said, David was a king. He was a shepherd boy. He was a fighter. He was a poet. He was a musician. The king of Israel. He was really gifted on so many levels, but he was the one that was the springboard, the one that the foundation that pushed them and created worship.
He did,
And I think within the world of worship, it's got a bit of an unusual balance without going down that road. But the question isn't it who you worshipping?
Yes.
Why you worshipping? And what is the purpose?
That's right.
Of worship?
The purpose?
So that is really fundamental in the word worship, because there's so much going on in the world of worship and what it looks like to different people. And I think that's absolutely great what Maoz worship is doing and the way it's come together. Very powerful. God is moving through that.
He is,
And what else is new in the world of the ministry, Brian, that you're up to?
Okay, well, we for all the years we've been in Israel, we've never owned a building. We've helped so many people own a building. We've helped congregations buy buildings, other ministries, sort of rehab centres we give them funding for, and refuges, all this stuff like this. And we have never owned a building. We've always been paying rent, and rent is really expensive in Israel. So God has enabled us over the last year. We felt it was time for us to get a building.
Amazing.
And so we was in a current building. We looked at that, but now God has given the opportunity for us to purchase a building, which means no more rent. It still have taxes.
Never get away with that, will we?
But we are buying a building probably this year. We've identified it, and things are moving forward. We hope that it will be large enough that we can rent space as well to give some income to the ministry.
Yeah.
But it will be a great thing to have that off the weight of our shoulders, because we can settle down, have our own ministry centre where we have all our 16 or so staff, have the worship centre there, all of our admin base, a place with people who are visiting Israel. And if you're visiting Israel, come and see us at the studio and worship. Yeah. It'll be our Maoz ministry centre. And so that's exciting for us, because it will mean that we can settle more, no chance of being evicted or trouble like that, and cut down our costs. So that's our big project.
That's an enormous
project. Big project.
So God is moving really clear. Yeah. There are great things happening in Israel, you know, and obviously the political area and what we've just been talking about and all that, you know. And regarding, just at the bottom of the page there, it's got about the aid. I suppose we covered a little bit of that, didn't we? Regarding the wood-burning stoves. And how does
it's just one.
The ministry help? And what does it do? Is it clothing, food?
Well, it's a bit of everything. So what we have with Maoz Aid is that this is where a lot of our funds go. So we have, it used to be called I Stand With Israel.
I remember that, I Stand With,
Now it's Maoz Aid, because that's clearer of what it actually means.
Yeah.
And it's a grant-making system. So it's a proper charitable non-profit in Israel.
Yeah.
And basically, we work through the 110 congregations we have links with. So let me give you a case scenario. Say, for example, you needed to learn Hebrew because you're a new immigrant, or you break your teeth and you need your teeth fixed, or you're thinking of doing an apprenticeship. You want to train maybe in a building trade or open a business, or you want to train in law, anything like that. You want to learn a skill, or maybe you've fallen into hardship. We had an example of a lady who had an alcoholic problem, lost her children to social services. We was able to help her. So anything like that, you can come to Maoz Aid and say, I need this. Now, we have a board.
Yeah.
So you'd have to fill in paperwork. It's not too onerous, because we really want to make it as quick as possible to help people. And we often, or nearly always, need a recommendation from a pastor, one of their leaders, to show, it's just part of the checks and balances to make sure it's true, or someone who can recommend them who is trustworthy. And we can pay up to 90% of that grant.
Wow.
So we've got loads and loads of cases, even buying chairs for a congregation, where people have come to us for help. So whenever I go to Israel, it's quite funny. Like, I was at a guest house run by believers there, and I spoke to the guy, and he said, my son had help from you. You helped buy an instrument and teach him, music.
Oh, amazing.
And then you see other people, and they say, they're tour guides. Great. It's tour guide. Becoming a tour guide is expensive, and it takes a long time. It's a very high standard.
Yeah.
So we have trained quite a lot of believers, or given them money.
Yeah.
So they can train to be tour guides, so they've got a living. So that's what Maoz Aid does, and it's helped thousands of believers, millions of shekels we've given out to different families. All during COVID, we supported loads and loads of families by putting money straight into their bank account so they could buy food. So it is basic needs, and it's quite a good system, but it's very robust. And we feel it's what it is, building the body of believers, because if believers are strong, then they're a powerful witness. So for us, that's really important. Helping believers in the land, and anybody can get. In fact, here's a funny thing. I had an email the other day. Here I am in the UK. I had an email, this guy asking me for help financially. I thought, what? And I realised he thought he was emailing the office in Israel.
Oh, I see.
One of the guys in Israel picked up. I said, hi, Fred. That was his name.
Yeah.
Just give me your details. He said, we'll talk to you. We'll try and get you some financial help as soon as possible. So that's what it's about. It's helping to build the body. Anybody can be helped by that aid.
It's amazing ministry. So... To me, over the last few years, we've just got a few more minutes, about 5 minutes left. It seems to have really grown at such a high rate. The ministry, is that correct? That it's just exploded so fast. It seems to be just literally just moved in a very strong way.
Yeah, it's become. We've changed, obviously, with the new leadership now.
Yeah.
With, COVID, there are different emphasis.
Yeah.
Different emphasis for this time. Because times change, the body changes, Israel changes, and so the different emphasis is right. We need to listen to the Spirit, which they've been doing in Israel, and they've changed things there. There are, when Maoz started, there wasn't much going on at all. As some listeners will know, we all our organisation planted one of the first Messianic congregations. We were the first sort of body that brought believers together. Now there are a lot more ministries doing a lot more things, which is good. We welcome that. Many of the ministries that are running now, we helped. Yeah. And it's not blowing our own trumpet. It's not meant to say it. It's a privilege. God enabled us through supporters across the world, because none of it's our money. It's all supporters' money. Through people across the world supporting us, supporting the body. So for us, we're just there. I heard a saying once, if God can get money through you, he will get money to you.
Wow.
And that's very true, isn't it? If God says, right, these people are going to do my will. And so through the years, millions and millions of dollars, pounds have come through, and European euros, Canadian dollars have come through Maoz Israel, and it's been dispersed to those in need.
Good stewardship.
It's a privilege. And we see ministries flourishing now, which are, well, I'll say bigger than us. That's a strange thing to say, but they're well-established ministries that we have helped to.
So you've been very instrumental in the early foundations of many ministries. That's a real privilege.
God.
It's not about you, but Maoz was there. The fact is, Maoz was there. Maoz helped, so it was very instrumental in a few areas.
God's instruments for His purposes. God uses instruments.
You're
for His purposes.
an instrument, a vessel for God to work through and to use, which is absolutely amazing. So, when are you back to Israel? Closing this little podcast this afternoon.
So I'm supposed to be going in June.
Yeah.
I don't like hot weather, so I'm not looking. But anyway, going in
Temperature,
June with a
what we're going to be
team. It might be the late 20s, early 30s, maybe late 30s, depending where you are. If you're in Jerusalem, it's cooler. If you go to certain areas in Galilee, it might be late 30s, or upper 30s rather. And so I'm supposed to be going with a small team. We're just trying to sort that out now. I'll be going then, and then our local church in Bromley, I'm doing a trip for them.
Wow!
In October.
So you got 2 trips.
2 trips at least.
2 trips at least.
Yeah, at least.
Back to the homeland.
That's right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to.
How do you feel when you get off the plane?
I do feel I'm at home.
I feel
very relaxed there. I feel better. I feel
safe.
Just relaxed. I do.
No bullets flying over your head.
It always feels very safe there. Always feels very safe in Israel. Always feels safe. We did a lot of nighttime walking when we was there in November.
You said,
Wandered around the streets of Jerusalem late at night and everything.
Beautiful, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Some lovely pictures. Shame this is a podcast. I was showing you the pictures.
You're showing us the pictures.
But no, it was lovely. I always feel safe there. I always feel like I'm going home.
That's amazing, Brian. Brian, you know what? It's so good. We've had a real nice, gentle conversation, and we thank God for your life and your family's life. And as we bring this to a close, Brian, how can we find the ministry? What is the best way? Email, online? What do we look for?
Okay, well, firstly, the website again, maozisrael.uk.
Yeah.
MAOZ, maozisrael.uk. Or people can email us at uk@maozisrael.
Got it.
.org.
Simple.
That's it.
And we can find, so obviously the newsletters are online, everything's online, it's all there. Brian, we just want to say thank you so much for coming again, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next few weeks. It's good just to have a gentle chat and without going too deep. But thank you, Brian. We really do appreciate everything you're doing. And to all the listeners across the world, we just want to say thank you for yourselves that are in the world of Buzzsprout, Spotify, Amazon Music, Alexa, and so many other platforms that we are beaming this through. And obviously for everyone that will capture this back on Twitter. And wherever you are today, have a great day. Never give up. God is always moving. Brian, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. God bless.
You can find us on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Alexa, Mixcloud, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Thank you so much, podcasters across the earth. Thank you from the very bottom of our heart here at Christian Straight Talk for the thousands of downloads across the earth. We are literally blown away by what is happening here in our studio. And we just want to encourage you on Buzzsprout, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and so many other platforms that we are pushing these to. We just want to say, will you come and walk with us to another platform? Will you stretch your eyes? Will you stretch your legs? Will you come to Patreon? You know, you've probably heard of it. You probably are supporting some other creators on there, some other podcasters, but will you come and support us? Just download the app. It's simple. It's easy to find in the App Store. And then once you've found CST, Christian Straight Talk, and then it becomes really easy. Just choose between two tiers, the Jonathan or the David. And you know how it works, podcasters. There is so much exclusive content for you on there. There's encouragement, there's Holy Communion, there's uncountable podcasts, video casts. There is so much, and we would love for you to journey with us. Thank you so much to everybody across the world, you podcasters. You are making us smile from the inside out. God bless. Have a great day. We'll see you soon in Jesus' name. God bless.